Hi, Nicholas here. Welcome to the January website review for 2026. I was away most of January, but I still managed to do a fair bit. So I've got everything here. So let's have a look at what I've added, which is new. So new for January 2026. So on the website. So you're looking at the website here on this video, but I've got it crammed up onto a small width. And then it pops up this more menu here, as with all these other menus. Normally, all these menus will be on the top if you have a wider screen. Home page, website, navigation now has links to menu overviews. Homepage, I'm not sure what that means. I've done this a while ago now. Homepage, website, navigation now has links to the menu overviews. I thought it always did. All right, so all these navigations go directly to, so they all got overviews. That should be in bold, that one there, I think. So if I click that, it should go to overview for research. Yeah. All right. So, and resources overview. So you can quickly jump there. So it's just a way to get around the website a bit quicker. All right, what I'll do is I've got two windows up here, so I'll bring this up into the list so I can just go back and forth. All right, so making menus more consistent with page links for easy navigation. Yeah, the look of the menus. So I've made sure everything is a bit more consistent, and the way you can navigate around, and the look of the titles and the menus. If, for instance, I've put links up here. So if you go to, say, resources and go overview, I've got, so that's the overview, and then I'll just say go to, not resources, sorry, I'll go to, where are we more? Quick info, for instance, that's a good one. We'll go to overview. So up here on the right, I've got quick links to the different information. So if you click on visualization, so that disappears there and you're on the visualization page, and you can just easily click around. Oh yeah, and I've got also jumps now. So I've been using this feature a lot. So on the page, for a lot of information on a page, everything is consistent looking with the menu, and I use the quick jumps a lot. So it's just easier to navigate around the website, just making it a bit more easier. So there's those. All right, I'll go back here. What else have I done? Add for ear training modes. So yeah, I've got the overviews for ear training. I'm going to add more on the ear training as well. So I've just added overview pages here. Group 1 exercises, Dorian. Oh, and you click group 1. You go to group 1 because I'm going to have group 2 and group 3. You can expand that ear training once you develop more exercises. All right, what else I got? Created grouping categories for exercise. That's what I showed you, those little menus. Change a menu name from fast tips to quick info. Yeah, I've done that as well. Added a new research main menu. Okay, so this is a pretty big one actually. A lot of the development work, new ideas, I'm putting on the website, so other people can look at them and comment about them, and add information and feedback. So I've got different topics here. So I've been working on, say, notation analytics, and I'm just showing, say, with this one, different types of ideas. But basically, with this one, if you have a piece of music, how to analyze it in terms of the scale it covers. So you change these notes into intervals, and I've got the processor here, and then you can view them. So these are the steps in terms of the modes. right? In other words, you can describe this melodic. Uh, it doesn't have to be a melody. It can be with chords, everything. This is just a simple example. In any of the 7 modes, and if you're in it within different keys. So at the moment, this is shown in the key of E flat, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in the key of E flat. You can see it's already comes out of key anyway here. So so it's got a natural on on B natural instead of B flat, right? So I've got different. I think I've got up to 4. I did 4, 3. So basically, if you just click down here, you'll see the information, and there's a process on how to go about this, and it's very systematic. And you can choose different modes, and then you can see what keys those modes are in. So it gives you options when you're creating music, and gives you an understanding of, say, where this scale came from. For instance, the composer might not even thought that it was a scale of any type of scale. If you look at the 4th one here, was it there was, or was it the 5th one? I can't remember. One of these was some common scale. I can't remember. But if you if you put this into the there's a the Ian Ring scale finder. If you put this sequence in, it'll tell you the name of the scale, right? And so I'm just doing some anyway. I won't go on too much with this because I've got so much more. All right, so let's go back to. Oh, I didn't change that there. All right, let's go back to what else I've done. So added the research, and I've got a few other research stuff there. More. I've got quick links to all the research on the homepage itself. I think I've got it up here. Yeah, so I've got quick links here to the research pages. And I'm still developing a lot of this stuff. And this is just basically a scratch pad of ideas I can put down and share ideas. Some of those ideas will eventually make them way into lessons, that type of thing. What else have I done? Added a recommended music links. Updated the Jock presentation with more information. Oh yeah, I've even though I've created the videos for these courses, I don't necessarily just stop. I always go back and look at the course and whether I can improve it. So you can not necessarily even have to watch the video. You can come and just read the information, and I add more information to describe what to do, and I made things look a bit more systematic as well. So they all now have chords and lyrics with the bass. Then they'll have, say, the chords and the lyrics and the intervals. You got song skeleton type of thing. So I'm making things look a bit more consistent. I don't keep on clicking away from that. Let's just go over here. So I wanted to keep this up. Oh, that's a website. Okay, so what else have I done? Notation analytics, part of the research menus. I've had my own compositions. I've put some of my own stuff in, and they don't have to necessarily be my own stuff. I can do other student stuff, but I think it's under resources, compositions. Oh yeah, down here. Oh, and I've actually put them into little areas. So it's some instrumental stuff. So you can these are the actual files of the songs. I've got information about, I did that one. You can click it and just listen to it if you want. I won't play the whole thing. Anyway, I got some of my pieces here. I should put navigation, maybe menu there too. Just a composition. Oh, more. So it's under resources, down here. Okay, archives. Okay, this is just the web log and the book log archives. Well, let's see what else we've done. Method modification. Akousunesis method modification. I'm doing away with the chord at the front of the key modal. Oh yeah, this is a this is more of a so in front of my keyed modal scales, I put the say D minor for Dorian D minor. I've done away with putting the chord. I'm just, instead of a chord, it's just the root notes. It's going to be D Dorian, not D minor. So I've done that throughout my book now and throughout the website. Because I thought that was a better way. I didn't want to, wasn't sure what that chord would represent. Whereas if it's a root note, for instance, if you put a D Dorian, you know it's a D minor anyway, right? And if you have a Dorian, if you describe it as a Dorian with alterations, you're describing what you've done to it, and it, you can describe it as a chord. And I just didn't want to do that. I think that was a bit messier. So I'm trying to improve things on the Akousunesis method and make things a bit easy to understand. And I thought that was a critical thing. Improved all the lesson presentations on the website. Yeah, I went through all the lessons, and I always will go through them. And if I can improve them on the actual website themselves, by putting more information, but I can't do that without feedback, and I'm not getting any feedback, so it's a bit difficult, So anyway, the lessons are here. Well, this one, I could even elaborate this a bit more too. I haven't put much information here. This one's, introduction to modes. I've got an introduction here, but so I'll always go back and have a look at these and improve them. So all of the lessons should be, I've got these menus now too. So for the bigger one. So, so I've done a bit of that. Oh, I've done it again. I keep on clicking away. I want to keep this page here. Oh, what else have we done? Oh, added information about the guitar neck, how to find notes and intervals in order to construct chords, because I had that in my book. So the quick info, more, resources, quick info. So it's not specifically a guitar, anything about guitar, but if you go into intervals, it talks about intervals, and I think I've got it here. Yeah, I do. Guitar. I should have a link to that. Oh, here. Yeah, guitar neck notes on a guitar. So this is a way to sort of try to memorize the notes on your guitar neck. So you've got, your dot there. So they're the 12 where it repeats again. So they're your 12 frets, right? You look for B, Cs and Cs, CE. So if you look at all the black notes, right, these would be in the key of C. So all the white notes. So I've overlaid basically 6 pianos, and you can try to memorize where BC is BC. I saw another good thing on the internet, which I will probably put on here as well because it's good information. If you look at C, for instance, if you go up, so follow the mouse. If you go up, which is down, down, right? This is the top where your head is, right? So you go down, right? 2 frets this way, then come through. So 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3 across. You see there's another C. So if you look, you'll see a pattern emerge. C, C, and then you come down and go 4 frets across. Because this is a third from G to B is a third and the rest are fourths, which makes it you have to go another 4 frets over here. So if you look at this pattern with the mouse, I'm going to update this and you do this with your mouse. On any letter, if you're on B, it's the same pattern. To find your octaves, you go there, across there, up here, and then 4 across. It doesn't matter where you start. Start on the F. 3, 3 across, 3 down, then 4 across. Any of these notes you start on will all be the same, right? So 3 down, 3 across, 3 down. There's the next one, right? So that's E flat there, right? D sharp, that note there where the mouse is on. So you see this pattern of down, follow the mouse. I'll draw a line, a red line, and you can move it around, and you'll be able to see that there's patterns. There's sort of recognizable patterns. Now that's just to find the notes, but once you find the notes, you can think about intervals. So you want to find intervals quickly on your guitar neck. You're better off thinking of intervals than notes, but you need to know where the notes are so you can start making guitar shapes, right? Chord shapes. But what you can look for is a common pattern. So you'll see that here we have a 1 on the bass, the bass string, right, which is up the top, okay? And you got an E there. You'll see a 3 is always going to be to here, 1 down and 1 across. That's going to be your 3, right, major third, and that's going to be your minor third. Now, if you start on the second string, you're going to have exactly the same pattern because these intervals here, they're fourths. The only hiccup you have is when you have this third, right? But from here to here to here, you're going to be the same. That's going to be 3, 3, and that's going to be a 5. If you come here, 3, 3, the 5's there, minus 7, 7. So it's the same shape. So if you make a shape with one hand, right, here for a chord, and then you slide it up, the character is going to be exactly the same, but it's going to be a different bass note. So this 1 will slide up to any one of these notes. And once you make your shape, right, if you slide your hand up, you're going to make the exact same chord. It's just going to have a different bass note, right? So by knowing things by shapes, you can kill so many birds with one hand. You can learn many chords by just learning a few shapes. And you want to understand where the intervals are, right? You want to think of intervals. And this will have the same third here. You got a fifth here, whereas here you've got a fifth, right? Because there's a fourth going down. So that's correct. But here, because of that third, you got a 3 there. Sorry, you got a 7 there, and here you've got a 1 rather than a 7 here. Because that adds a complication, that the third. But the same principle, whatever shape you make here, if you slide your thumb up and down, you're going to make the same chord shape. It's just going to have a different bass note, right? So it'll be a same chord, different bass note. So it'll be a different chord, right? But the same chord character, right? I added this overtones, which is pretty cool because and it's actually good for if you're thinking about singing as well, because it demonstrates the harmonics you can add into your vocals. And you can add in, you basically can add in the octaves, right? Second octave. You can add in a high fifth. So if you're singing one note, which is fundamental, you have elements of the fifth, of the octave, the second octave, the high third. And you can see that just, if you look at the wave, you're coming from a node point here, then you're just adding one of the cycles, or half cycles, right? We're increasing it by half cycles each time, right? Increase it by half cycles, keep on going, till we get 1 cycle, 2 cycle, 3, 4 cycles here. That's the third octave, right? Remember, an octave is a doubling in frequency. So you're going to have 4 cycles here where you've got half a cycle, doubling in frequency. You get to the second octave, or the first octave, right, which is there. We double that, you're going to expect this, right, second octave. So that's 1 cycle, that's 2 cycles. So you're going to have 4 cycles for another doubling, which you'll get to the third octave, and you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 cycles. So we call them overtones. If we want to look at the intervals in terms of just going within the octave, like this, and we want to see how visually it looks like, you can look at it like this. What you're doing here, you've got an octave, right? And you can think of the blue as fixed, right? But what you're doing with the black one is you imagine it as a slinky, and you're stretching it out, and you get to the seventh. So eventually, you're coming down like this, because when you're back on the same note, it's gonna be the same frequency, right? It's gonna overlap. So that's what a minor second looks like. There, that's a second, minor third, right? And this isn't linear either. This isn't a linear thing here. But it goes up till you get there. So that's the intervals within an octave. This is the overtones of when you're singing one note or playing one note. You've got elements of overtones. Right? Anyway, so there's a bit of information there I've added to the website. Added an improvisation menu. Oh yeah, that's a new one. So I've got an improvisation menu, which is very similar to a composition. I've actually used the similar, actually the same diagrams as I did, but I'm focusing on improvisation here. But this could go many different directions in composition, right? So we have an improvisation menu. Again, I keep on doing this, keep on clicking away. That's why I got the other page up. Where are we? What else have I done? Gee, I added a lot since I've been away for most of it. I did this early on before I went away. Oh, glossary of terms. I think that can be useful. So we'll go here. I think under resources, would be under resources. Glossary. So I'm putting some common terms, and I can build this up as well. Talking about pitch, tone, pitch, or any terms, more Akousunesis, the way we describe things, like a high note in this method. So things specific to this method. And then we got just general music terms and what they mean. And I could add more here. I've actually got a link to a website here which has got quite a few different terms here as well. But I can't see too much of adding all this to my website because it's not Akousunesis focused. It's just more general stuff. Stuff on notation here. I mean, if you want to be able to read notation, or you're going to know some of this stuff. What's the last thing I discovered? Discovered the table of context feature on Google Sites. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Why don't we create anchor locations in the headings? I think I've shown you that. So it's very useful actually. So if you've got and I'll be using this a lot. Say intervals. So this menu here. So this is an anchor menu. So it'll just, if you've got a big page of information, you can just click and it'll just jump to that bit of the information. It'd be nice if you had a thing back, but that's what the back button does up the top there. So it's easy to navigate and then just click the browser's back button. Melody, what do I have a melody? I don't even know if I've got anything here. That was a new one. Popular left and right hand melody patterns commonly used in songs. Yeah, this was a new one I wanted to start talking about. Popular melody patterns. So if you're writing your own songs, you might want to see what a lot of people who write music, what they do, and I've put them in exercises. So I've got, say, pattern 1, pattern 2. So what have we got here? We've got D, it's rising. Right thumb on 1, 2. And so it's a D mixolydian. If it's a D mixolydian, what's the mixolydian? What key is it in? Right? Well, it's in the key of G. Right? So your chord on the left would be like G. Right? Now you don't have to put that there, but it gives you the context, right? Because once you know there's a mixolydian, you know the root note is D, you know it's in mixolydian. You got a lot of information now. Right? So we've got another one here, which is Ionian, right? G, which is the same key as this because it's Ionian, right? So we're in the key of G. And we're just rising 1. So what are we doing? Pinky. So this is left hand, right? So pinky on 1. On 5 we have the I. I don't actually have. I should always put the keyboard up because I end up doing this stuff on these web things like that. That's a left hand. You can add. It's just doing 1 5 1 with and adding that high 2 up there with your index, and then coming back down here. These are really good, these finger placement exercises. They tell you exactly how to play any pattern. Yeah. They give you no rhythm thing, so you're not focusing on trying to get any rhythm right. You're just trying to work out what the fingers are doing. The rhythm is going to be in your head, right? You're going to develop your own rhythm. And you don't even have to play the same. You can play that twice. You can even play it in any order. Once you work it out, the notes you're playing, then you can just play it in any order you want. So anyway, so that's that. All right, so I think that's all I've done. Did it again. There's no even point having that open. All right, so that's all. So I'm going to get rid of this for January. I've got to go back to Sydney again because I've got to get my eye looked at. I've got an issue happening with my right eye, so I've got to go to a specialist. I'll be with the folks living in Sydney, so I won't be able to. I'll still be able to get to. They got a computer, so I can get to the web page, and possibly do some work on it. But yeah, I'll be away from a studio. So I'm going next Thursday, so I'll see what other thing I can do before I go. So that's that video done. So that's new for January. Okay, all right. See you next time. Bye.